matter which part of the world we belong to, no matter who we are, as children, we all had amazing dreams. We thought we could make them come true. We could be anything we wanted in this world. We couldn't wait to grow up. Life was going to be one amazing ride. But when we grew up, most of us just became a part of a race just to survive and nothing more. The environment around us conditioned us into believing that all our hopes were unrealistic and would never come true. We became so brainwashed into leading life like everyone else that we simply stopped dreaming and resigned ourselves to our so-called fate. And yet, there are some amongst us who go on to achieve everything they want. These are the people we all look up to in one way or the other. They never let their dreams die. Instead, no matter what the world said, they believed in their dream and they accomplished it. So, what went wrong in our lives? Why is it that most of us fail to accomplish what we wanted, while these people, they achieved it all? What is it that they possess? I kept wondering if there was a particular key or a secret to success. Well, it turns out there is a key, and over the course of this film, you shall discover it for yourself. Get ready to carve your destiny. My name is Anubhav Srivastav, and I have spent over 5 years of my life researching the secrets of the super successful. Over the course of my journey, I have met and interviewed some of the most famous and influential Indian and international achievers across all fields. I discovered that the core principles of success were the same regardless of what field one belongs to. In this film, you shall be presented with the culmination of my research and the secret to carving your destiny. People often ask me why I decided to make this film. To answer that, I need to go back into my childhood. I was a rather unusual child. Most kids my age were obsessed with superheroes with superpowers. But my heroes were real. They had no superpower. All they seemed to have was an extraordinary willpower. I wanted to grow up and do something like them. But as I grew up, I was told that I should stop dreaming and become realistic. And so, I became realistic. And so, like everyone else, I resigned myself for whatever lay ahead. During my college years, I was ready for a career in finance, but I always felt a degree of unrest. I felt I was not doing anything that I could say I was proud of. But that was about to change. Even though the project was rejected and it was a huge setback, I decided that I would still go ahead with this project.
Not only Anubhav, but the entire concept had to face a lot of criticism, not only from the people who were there in the university, but also from the friend circle itself. Because reason being was earlier there were like 20 to 30 people who were readily interested in going ahead. But when they saw the kind of struggle, the kind of challenge that they were supposed to face, then they actually quitted in between.
80% of external criticism is jealousy and other factors. 20% may be true.
So what is not true, reject it. What is true, correct it. And thank them for it. By word or deed. But if you think it's not based on facts, reject it. Don't waste time on it.
One lesson I've learned from Gandhi, which is very important to me, is that you got to rise above self. If you're stuck in self, then you tend to see from here. How would I look? What would other people say? Would I have control? All of these are not important issues. When you rise above self, you see it from a distance.
In the 70s, a then champion bodybuilder, Arnold Schwarzenegger, wanted to pursue acting. When he approached the Hollywood agents, they told him that his weird body, weird accent, and a weird name would never sell any movie tickets. They told him that at the most he could be a freaky character actor, but never a leading man. Schwarzenegger ignored the so-called advice and became one of the most famous and highest paid movie stars of all time. His name, his body, and his accent, all of the things that the agents said were liabilities, became his biggest strengths. Around the same time that Schwarzenegger was trying to establish himself as an actor, a young African-American lady called Oprah Winfrey was also trying to make a name for herself in show business. She had suffered a rough childhood and sexual abuse in the past. Despite these emotional setbacks, Oprah was determined to make it big. And yet, she was fired from her job as a news anchor because she was deemed unappealing and unfit for TV. Of course, this lady deemed unfit for TV went on to host one of the most famous talk shows in history and revolutionized TV forever. The stories of Schwarzenegger and Oprah are recent examples, but here is one from history, the story of Albert Einstein. As a child, Einstein had a great difficulty in speaking and reading due to his dyslexia. His teachers thought he was mentally retarded and antisocial. One teacher even told his father, quote, "No matter what he does, he will never amount to anything," unquote. He was forced to take up a job as a clerk in the Swiss patent office, and it seemed that the teacher's prophecy was coming true. But in 1905, while still a clerk, he published a paper called The Special Theory of Relativity. The paper became so famous that by 1908, he was considered a leading scientist. By 1921, he won the Nobel Prize. By the time he died, he became the most famous scientist of all time, and his name became synonymous with the word genius. So, what happened to the critics who said he was mentally retarded and would never amount to anything? Well, nobody knows what happened to them, since nobody bothers to remember them. People will ridicule you whenever you attempt to do anything new. Here is a quick recap of the lessons in the film exemplified by the life of Mahatma Gandhi, an unarmed man who took on the British Empire and brought them to their feet, not through weapons but through non-violence. Believing that independence was possible through non-violent struggle was an idea that was crazy to many. After all, everything was won by wars in history, right? Gandhi did not think so. He believed that independence was possible through non-violence. The most important thing for you is to remember that belief precedes all achievement. Gandhi said, "Men often become what they believe themselves to be. If I believe I cannot do something, it makes me incapable of doing it. But when I believe I can, then I acquire the ability to do it, even if I did not have it in the beginning." What we can learn from this statement and from Gandhi's life is that only if you believe that something is possible, will you put in the effort to make it possible, and probably, eventually, make a seemingly impossible task become a reality. Conversely, if you believe that something is impossible, you will have a hard time doing it, no matter how simple it is. Even though Gandhi was highly respected, he was also heavily criticized by many. Revolutionaries criticized his non-violent approach. The British laughed at his attire and for a while dismissed him as a madman. Some criticized him for his lifestyle experiments. But Gandhi said, "Nobody can hurt me without my permission." This is a profound statement. It means that while you have no control over what someone says to you or about you, you have absolute control over how you feel about it or how you react to it. The more unnecessary importance you give to somebody else's statements, the more bothered you will be. Don't waste your time fighting these people. Focus your efforts on what truly matters. if others' opinions were really that important, nature would not give you a brain to think for yourself. Next, it is important to re-emphasize discipline. Gandhi practiced self-discipline in almost all aspects of life. It was to the point that it could even be called excessive. You don't have to go to that extent and apply discipline to all aspects of living, but you do have to apply it to your goal. Remember, for everything you want to achieve, there is a price you must be willing to pay.
One of the most inspiring stories is that of Professor Stephen Hawking. At the age of 21, he was diagnosed with motor neuron disease, a rare condition which cripples a person and usually causes death within a few years.
Hawking was told he only had 2 years to live. While he proved the doctors wrong and survived, he was still eventually confined to a wheelchair and much of his body became paralyzed. A bout of pneumonia in 1985 almost killed him. The doctor suggested to his wife to switch off life support, as they thought he would almost certainly die, but she refused. Miraculously, Hawking survived again, but a tracheotomy procedure conducted during this period robbed him of his ability to speak. Today, he is only able to speak through a speech synthesizer in which he has to key in sentences, letter, by twitching his facial muscles. Due to the progressive nature of his disease, slowly it has become extremely hard for him to even do that. And yet, despite all these problems that would make average people think their lives were doomed, Hawking had the courage to keep pursuing what he wanted. His work in theoretical physics has established him as one of the most respected physicists in the world. Despite the immense struggle he faces in everyday life, Hawking has still managed to maintain a sense of humor and tries to enjoy life as much as he possibly can. Through his popular books such as A Brief History of Time, which was written after he lost his ability to speak, he even managed to capture the attention of everyday people and sparked their interest in science. The book became an international bestseller and established him as a pop culture phenomenon. Stephen Hawking, a man confined to a wheelchair, a man who wasn't even expected to live long, has today become a legend alongside the likes of Sir Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein. Sometimes in life, not everything goes the way you wanted. You may go through setbacks or personal tragedies that may radically alter your life and make your goals appear like a distant dream. Life may beat you into a pulp and others may think it's all over for you. But if you have the mentality of a winner, nothing will hold you down. No matter how tough it gets, you shall rise, fight back, and inspire everyone around you to face their own lives with renewed vigor.
So remember, there's only one thing that can stop you from achieving your dream. It is not your ethnicity, it is not your gender, it is not your age, it is not a disability, and certainly it is not your current economic condition. The only thing that can stop you is the lack of your own will to succeed.